Hello there, Kat.
Hi there, Rachel.
Do you remember not so long ago when we talked about games that we would like to remaster, reboot, and remake?
I did. Tough decisions and very conflicted between what I want selfishly, what I think would be good, and what I want.
I enjoy your despair because I have another question for you of the same vein. I would like to know which games you would give a sequel to. So games that deserve a sequel.
Okay.
So it's quite a difficult one again because there are so many that do deserve it. So what I suggest is that we pick 3 games each.
Okay.
I'm going to go first. My first pick is a game, not sure whether you've heard of it or not. It's called Enslaved Odyssey to the West. Have you heard of it?
I think I've heard the name, but I couldn't tell you any more about it.
Okay, well, I'm going to tell you a little bit about it. So it's based on an ancient Chinese legend called Journey to the West.
Mm-hmm.
It came out in 2010 and it has Andy Serkis in it, which is
right.
Yeah, which is pretty cool. I remember really, really enjoying this game. The more I think of it, the more I think it's a little bit Horizon Zero Dawny. I'm getting those kind of vibes. In as much as you have a sassy redhead and machines that you kill, and it's also set 150 years in the future from now.
Okay.
So a similar kind of story beats. Now you have 2 characters. So you have Monkey, who's this big, strong, athletic guy, and then you have Trip, who is the sassy redhead. So she's quite hacky. She's good with the tech, that sort of thing. And what she does, and this is how the story starts, is Monkey has a headband, and she hacks that headband so that if her heartbeat stops, he will also die as well, because she wants him to help her and protect her while she does her story. So what I really like about it is that he doesn't follow her because he's a heroic character, and he doesn't follow her because he fancies her. He follows her because he has to. And I love it when stories make things like that, because it's so unbelievable that someone would just be like, yeah, sure, let's go on an adventure.
Does that mean the game is one giant escort mission then, or?
I wouldn't say an escort mission. So you play as Monkey, so you do the fighting, and you go through this time with her, and it's really, really lovely because obviously he's not her biggest fan at the beginning because she puts a torture device on his head.
Takes away his freedom.
But you go through the story, and it's really lovely because they do start to kind of understand each other a bit more, and they kind of get on a little bit. The ending is strange, but I really, really like how the story flows and how the two of them, because they're really well acted, well fleshed out characters. And you know me, I love a story and I love the characters. That's the biggest thing for me. Gameplay is a bit samey, but I mean, because the story's so good, you would carry on through it anyway. And then at the end, it's like, are they friends? Is there a hint of romance? I mean, I need answers to these questions, and therefore I would like a sequel with lovely graphics to continue their story, because I had such a good time with the both of them, and I really, really think that it deserves more sort of fanfare than it got. I don't think that many people played it, but it's definitely worth your time because it is backwards compatible on Xbox, so I would definitely recommend playing it. But that would be my choice. What's your first game?
Okay, I think most of mine are going to be series that I've enjoyed, but they've kind of fallen off the wagon, and it's been long enough that they need to redeem themselves, if that makes sense. So my first one is one that I played. Oh my goodness, I can't even tell you how many hours. I remember my dad having to set a timer. So I would play it for a bit, and then my brother would play it for a bit, because we obviously were sharing a computer, many years ago. So we could both play it and we couldn't write over each other's save files. So the Roller Coaster Tycoon.
Oh, okay.
So first game, phenomenal, completely programmed by the Scottish programmer Chris Sawyer. All the kind of things that you could do in your theme park, creating your own coasters, having to manage things. And then the second one was, again, isometric, and but with more features, more evolved. You could change like the saltiness of your chips, so people would have to get drinks better, and it was like a true sequel. And then after that, things started to fall downhill. So I could not stand Roller Coaster Tycoon 3. I remember being really, really excited for it, but that kind of took a move into the kind of more 3D realm. Then it kind of got into you've got to get the expansion packs, and it kind of really went bad. But where things really started to fall apart was kind of the mid to late teens, where things kind of moved into mobiles. There was Roller Coaster Tycoon Touch, all that kind of thing. And then there was the huge palaver around Roller Coaster Tycoon World, which I think upset a lot of people. It was one of these kind of always online things, and it was just, even though it was a PC game, it was barely better than a mobile game.
Mm-hmm.
And it was just not good. And for how beloved the original two were, for things to have gone downhill so badly, Roller Coaster Tycoon World was released in 2016, so it would be due a sequel. But I'm thinking of another game in a kind of similar world building one, so with Theme Hospital, where the original creators broke away, and it's not a sequel, but oh my god, it's everything I ever wanted in a sequel of 2 Point Hospital. I think it's time to revisit the theme park building franchise and have another go and get it right of Roller Coaster Tycoon.
Get it right. Don't fill it with microtransactions.
Yeah,
Which
which is exactly what happened with 2 Point Hospital. So yeah, it deserves a good sequel. It has some bad sequels, but no, now it's time to show that this management type game is successful and can be done well. So yeah, ready for a good sequel of Roller Coaster Tycoon.
Perfect. Right, on to our second choices. So my next game is a game called Alpha Protocol. Have you heard of this?
No, I'm feeling very noob not hearing your obscure love game.
Yeah, so they're a little bit less mainstream than possibly I would normally think about. But
So hipster.
I know, I played all these games before it was cool. No, so Alpha Protocol was released in 2010 by Obsidian, who you might know did KOTOR 2, New Vegas, recently The Outer Worlds. So they've got some story chops, good at that sort of thing. So you play as a guy called Mike, who is a spy, Mike Thornton. And it's, again, very story focused. It gives you a Mass Effect style conversation wheel. So you make your choices. You can be, I think it's professional, suave, or like aggressive. And your decisions and your actions towards these certain characters affect the plot and affect the ending. So you're the spy, you go on a mission, it all goes a bit peak-tong. You have to go rogue, essentially. So you go to places like Rome, you go to Moscow, there are romances, which always gets a thumbs up from me. But I mean, again, similar to Enslaved, the gameplay is a little bit clunky. It's fine. It's not its best feature. The story and the choices are, because it's kind of like a story-based Splinter Cell kind of thing, but you can choose how stealthy you are or whether you want to go in guns blazing. So and I really enjoyed it. I remember reading reviews and they kind of bashed it a little bit, but I actually really liked it. I had a good time playing it. So I think if they were to re-release it now with those same sort of choices and decisions and impacts that they have, I think that would do really well, especially because we haven't had a Splinter Cell since
forever.
2013, I think. So yeah, so I would definitely look forward to playing that. So that is my second choice. What would yours be?
I'm going to carry on with the theme of, well, no, because the last release was a good one, but we're overdue this game, and it's already been hinted at that it's coming, but my goodness, they do take their time with them. So it's a Nintendo series that it just doesn't receive as much love as it should. So everyone knows who Mario is, everyone knows about Pokemon, but I think if you ask the majority of people about Pikmin, they would assume it was a Pokemon or something like that. So it would be the finally to get Pikmin 4. So if you are unaware of the Pikmin series, oh my god, dig out a Wii and go play it because it's so much fun. So Pikmin's kind of real-time strategy puzzle game where you're on an alien planet and you meet these kind of alien plant creature things and you can kind of command them, and they're different colors and they do different things for you, and you have to collect things and gang up against bad guys on the planet. And it's all kind of based on time as well, so you have a certain amount of time in the day to do activities. So it looks so cute and adorable, but actually it's kind of like a dystopian reality where you have to really manage your time and think about, right, what do I want to get done today? And it's so deceptive, but it does it in such a charming way, and it's wonderful. So we had the first Pikmin game in the early 2000s, and Pikmin 2 shortly followed. Those were on the GameCube. Then in the late 2000s, they released it as a new play control, so you could play it on the Wii, so with the pointiness of the Wii. We had a long wait until Pikmin 3 came out in 2013, and that was on the Wii U, which not many people have. I do, and it's amazing. Then we had Hey Pikmin on the 3DS, which was kind of a slightly different tactic, and nothing since then. So our last Pikmin game was in 2013. In 2014, Miyamoto said that it will be coming. At E3 2017, Miyamoto said it was under development and progressing, and nothing since. So it's a series that has kind of always been under the radar, kind of a little bit of a cult following, but they are so good. And we haven't had a re-release of these Pikmin games on the Switch yet, which I think a lot of people expected Pikmin 3 to come to the Switch quite quickly because it was so under the radar of being on the Wii U, which wasn't a commercial success. So yeah, really, really ready to play Pikmin 4 because they are just so good. And yeah, ready for it. And with the Switch being so popular and so successful, you imagine that this would be one that would really kind of take off. But we'll just have to keep waiting to see, as it has been promised. We'll see when that happens.
I have to admit, the only reason I know of Pikmin is because you mentioned that you liked it, so I put it in your your game quiz. But that is the only time I've ever heard of it. I wouldn't have if not for that. So yeah, I think Switch would be a sensible place.
Oh, I can actually see my Wii U from where I'm sat. I'm like, oh, is it time for another play of Pikmin 3? Because, yeah, it's just a lot of fun. Challenging, but cute, but extra nuances behind it if you actually want to look into things, but charming. But, oh, yeah.
Excellent. On to number 3.
Your number 3. Another obscure one, another hipster choice?
Not so much this one. Have you heard of Bully?
I have, yes. Rockstar.
Okay.
This other franchise.
Excellent. Yes, Rockstar. So I played the Scholarship Edition, which was on the Xbox 360. I think there was a little bit of a fuss kicked up because it was called Bully, and people thought that would encourage people to, be dicks. Bully. Yes, but you don't actually have to. You're actually quite a decent. You can choose to be quite a decent guy and do good things. But I really, really liked this game because I was young myself and at school at that time. It's a really fun playground because you had all the different American sort of groups. You had the jocks, the nerds, the preps, the greasers, and you could completely antagonize them. You could be friends with them. You could run up to someone in the yard, punch them, and then skateboard away whilst all the prefects chased you. It was I just remember really liking it. And one of the parts of it that people didn't like were the classes. You could go and actually do classes. So biology, I remember you had to dissect, I think it was a frog, and people didn't like that. But I actually really did because it actually made me feel like I was at school and I had to go to class and that sort of thing. So you are based in a school, but you had like an outside sort of town that you could go to and get your hair cut and speak to people and do different various bits and bobs. But I remember really, really having a good time on this game. I remember having a lot of fun because it's almost like it's the GTA, but obviously a lesser level. You aren't shooting people, you're running around and wedging people and stuff like that. So it was a really nice sort of toned down version of GTA. But like I said, you could be nice to people and you could be nice to the girls or you could tease them, and it was completely down to you. I don't think at any point it actually encouraged you to go out and bully people, but the story was good as well, and there was just lots to it. And I just think it might have been that I was at the right age for it, but I just remember having such a good time with it and really, really enjoying that school setting and skateboarding around. It was just and interacting with the different groups because you could see how they interacted with each other as well. And I just
there hasn't really been much like that in that kind of setting, has there?
No, nothing. I don't think I've ever played anything like it.
I don't think I think of it as like maybe Harry Potter games, but then again, it's kind of linear because this has to happen because Harry Potter
story. Yeah, exactly. Whereas this is more, you can sort of go around, help people if you want, do these missions if you want, but you don't have to. Go to classes if you want, but you don't have to, but you will get in trouble for it. And I just thought it was a nice little sandbox to play in. So I would love a sequel. Like I said, not a reboot or a remake. Maybe pick a different person, a different school, a different setting, or a college version of Jimmy Hopkins. A college version of Jimmy Hopkins. That would be quite good. But definitely I would love that to come back. And I think there have been whispers in the past, but nothing concrete as far as I know. But I would another all of mine have been little 360 gems, and I would just love for that to come back.
Okay. Yeah, and especially with Rockstar, let's say Red Dead's out of the way now, so it'd be interesting to see if that rumours does come into fruition.
I hope so. I mean, Rockstar are big enough that I think they are working on GTA 6, but I think they're big enough that they could split off a little team. Give me a little bit
Feel about
bully.
that.
Doesn't have to be as big as GTA. It's only a school. Doesn't have to be that big. But yeah, what would your third choice be?
Okay, so my third choice is completely greedy, proper sequel in the Tony Hawk franchise. 2020 is a delight for games for the second half of the year, and one of the ones I'm excited for is for the Pro Skater 1 and 2 remake. As well and good as that is, that's not a new game. That it is a remake, right? So I'm going to know the levels, and they will look very different. They may expand on them, but it's not going to be new content. The last new game that we had Skate Jam, which was on mobile only. We had the Pro Skater 5 in 2015, which I've already discussed quite a bit of length. It's just an absolute mess. And we haven't really had a good Tony Hawk game since 2007, 2006.
Oh my god, has it been that long?
Yeah, I say it was sold to Robomodo Studio, so that's when we had like the ride and shred when you had your big plastic board to stand on. But we had Project 8 was 2006, Proving Ground was 2007, and then after that. I am delighted to be listening to Goldfinger and skating around the school again, and all this for Tony Hawk 1 and 2. But give me a new era. We're ready for open world. We can do it really well now with the hype, with the momentum of a decent remake with Pro Skater 1 and 2. I'm hopeful it will happen in the same way that Pikmin 4 should happen. And cash cow of Roller Coaster Tycoon, it probably will be one, but let's make it properly. So yeah, just a good sequel, a good iteration of Tony Hawk.
Would you go for more similar to 1, 2, and 3, where you've got, obviously there'll be bigger, a bit more wide linear levels, I suppose, or would you go for the Tony Hawk's Underground or American Wasteland, that kind of thing?
I can imagine the Tony Hawk American Wasteland working really well. So you would have kind of a big city to explore, thinking almost like the Spider-Man model. So you'd have a big city like New York, but then you would go into this school and there would be challenges around the school. Maybe then you would have a time trial, the 2-minute segments like you do in 1, 2, and 3, and challenges to complete there. And then you would kind of drift across to an actual skate park, and then maybe a theme park, and then there would be the challenges there. Perhaps even in using that, you could stitch together ideas from older games as well. So in Tony Hawk 4, there's a zoo level. So perhaps you have a fictional city where you would be in Tony Hawk 2 school, and you would go to 4, and then you would, I know this bit, I recognize this, let's do this. But then there'd be something new as well, and there'd be new places here. And with the ability of the continual loading, or not having to have loading screens and so on, because that was a downfall of, they tried to do that in American Wasteland, and for the time they did a bloody good job, but there was kind of long empty areas. So I remember there was a part where you would skate through like a pretty much empty mall, and it was like, this is just a load it was like Beverly Hills or something, and it was just like a very empty area just to load it, and it was a lovely idea. But I think with the technology now, it would work fantastically well, and with the option of you'd hop on the subway again like you do in Spider-Man, or you can hop on the subway to get to the next area, and it would work a lot better now. I would be really excited for people who actually know what they're talking about, rather than me kind of waffling on what could be done now. And I would be really excited to see that and to make that happen.
Perfect. So I think between us, we've probably got quite a good variety. If you could only pick one, which one would you pick?
I would go for, what one would I pre-order or something like that? Okay, so I mean, Pikmin 4 is almost certainly on the way. Roller Coaster Tycoon, it's been so long since I've played, but the nostalgia value is really there. I will have my itch scratched a little bit with Tony Hawk 1 and 2, but I also really will crave the new content after playing it. I will want to know, put an Easter egg in there to know that Tony Hawk 6 is on its way, and I will be so excited that I wouldn't even cope. Do you have one that you would pick over the others?
I'd be very excited for each of them in a very different way, but I think because I haven't answered questions between Trip and Monkey's relationship, I'd have to go Enslaved.
Yeah, I
can't leave me like this. I need answers, man. Come on.
Okay, brilliant. Well, thank you so much for hosting this question. So if you missed our earlier episode where we talked about remakes, reboots, and remasters, and again being completely selfish, you can check that out here. But until next time, we'll speak to you soon.
Bye.
Bye.